Yo, yo, yo. What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Brothers in Arms, a new way for men to talk. I am your host, comedian Edgar Rivera, and of course, I'm joined today by two of my favorite brothers, Dr. Dan Ratner and comedian Eric Nieves. What's up, brothers?
Good to see you.
You saw I'm trying to minimize the brothers. As Eric has always been complaining how many times I use the word brothers, and that's what I do. Brothers. What's up, bro?
And then he goes to say, "What's up, bro?"
That was a lot of brothers at once.
That's it.
I didn't know, Eric, though. This is interesting. We find things out on the show as well. I didn't know that you thought he used brothers too much.
I'm kind of finding this out too.
Oh, maybe
No. I'm talking about all the way. I'm talking about season 1. Remember in the beginning?
I think it's maybe in certain episodes, but I mean the name of the show is Brothers in Arms, so I hope it gets brought up somewhat. But
all right,
I think between if we did a count, and it would be interesting to see if we can Greg to do that. I wonder how many brothers and bro actually get done per episode, how much and how that rates.
I got a lot.
Shows.
I guess I should say brothers, and then you say in, and Dr. Dan says arms.
I love that you use brothers all the time. I mean, that's part of the reason we have the name for the show is the feeling of it.
Dude, I had an ex-girl who used to get mad at me because I called everyone brother. Like a bro.
I thought because you called her brother.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. She goes, "Why are you calling him brother? He's not your brother." I'm like,
Wow, stickler for brothers.
Now there is a difference between brother and bro, because not everybody gets the brother. If you get a brother designation, that's different than bro.
Yeah. You guys are my brothers.
It's also really different when people use the term bruh. That's
awful. That's just.
I'd
rather have you not acknowledge me.
I like the fact that Dr. Dan came out with that,
bruh. I mean,
bruh, and you know
whoever
what?
thought of bruh. He's no brother of anyone.
We're going to talk about aggression today. Bruh is like, that's got some aggression in it.
Bruh.
Yeah, that's
at least the way I hear it.
Well, it insinuates that what are you, stupid? You know what I mean? Like when you say bro, like, oh man, I want to see you. When you say bruh, you're like, how dumb are you? So yeah, I could see how no one says bruh like positively.
That might be a problem for me because I always sound the same. Bro.
No, but
That's bro,
you said bro, not bruh. Bruh and bro.
To me, bruh, I can't believe we're having this discussion. It's hilarious.
To me, bro is like when you take it off the women.
We are brothers in arms. So, come on, bruh. We are brothers in arms. So we have to make sure everyone understands the difference between brother, bro, and bruh.
Yeah,
I'd be like, come on, girl, take that bra off.
And of course, Edgar would make it assault on half the audience. Thank you, Edgar. We're trying to educate, and you're already trying to remove people's underwear.
No comment.
Brothers, he's really a brother with arms trying to take off your bra.
With short arms.
Too many arms.
How you been, Eric? How's everything, bro?
Everything is good, man. Everything is good, man. Happy getting some stuff done at home, getting some good stuff done at work. Things aren't too bad. Got it.
Nice.
No complaints.
No complaints.
I know that's a boring answer. It's a boring answer, but I am in my last semester of grad school.
So wait,
hold on a sec. Let's deal with this whole idea of a boring answer. We're a show about a new way to talk,
right?
And you should be free to say whatever you want, including if it's supposedly boring. You're not here to entertain everybody. I mean, I suppose you are here to entertain because we're doing a show. But the reality is, in terms of just who you are as a person, you don't have to entertain anybody. Just tell it like it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. Just because we're a show that talks about men's emotions doesn't mean everything has to be emotional. They could just be educational or lighthearted.
So let me ask you again. How was your week, bro?
I just love the idea of you being whatever you are. Like, we gotta get comfortable with that.
See, this is why I look forward to this every week, because I get a little dose of Dr. Dan love. That's not his last name, so don't. Could you imagine if that was his last name, Dr. Dan Love?
What if my last name was Dan Love? That would be confusing.
Dr. Dan.
Dr. Dan Love.
Dan Love.
We have gone off the rails.
We really that sounds like an investigator that Robert Urich would have played in the 70s or something.
But that's the beginning of looking for a therapist, right? Dr. Dan, you look at their name first and you try to like picture it. But imagine Dr. Dan. Come on, man. Will you trust Dr. Dan?
Or how about if the card said, I'm the bruh that could heal you? What if that said that on the card? That would be a total
I'd be
said,
like,
bruh,
no way.
Bruh,
I'm dealing with
talk
that,
to
bro.
me. Talk to me, bruh.
What's up, Dr. Dan? How are you, man? How was your week?
It was good. I'm feeling really, really good today for whatever reason. It just feels like I'm kind of in flow. I'm excited about things, and I say this to people all the time. It's a moment-to-moment experience being a person, no matter who you are. And you're going to have days where you really don't feel good, and you're going to have days where somebody asks you how you're doing, and it's a kind of generic, I'm fine kind of answer. Then you're going to have days like today where I just feel like I'm excited about things.
Nice.
Just a lot of good stuff coming around the corner, and I'm energized.
Nice. That's what's up, man. That's a good way, man. It's a good way. I can't wait to see what's around the corner.
I feel like we all feel like we
I
jumping up and down.
I feel your energy. I feel it, Dr. Dan.
How you feeling? How you feeling, Edgar?
I feel the same way, man. I feel good, man. After last week's walking the walk, we haven't, this is the first time this season we actually did a walking the walk. It felt good. It feels good to let things out. I feel when we talk, and this is the whole purpose of this podcast, when teaching brothers it is okay to talk, to vent out, to let your feelings out. But I feel like when you let things out, it just feels like, it's like a relief. I don't have to hide that anymore. You know what I'm saying? Or I don't have to pretend that it's not bothering me or whatnot. So after last week, I felt good. I had a pretty good week and excited to be here, man. I'm excited that we're back in flow, that we're back into the flow of things. You know what I'm saying? Like now it's like, okay, now we're getting back to the routine. Like, okay, every week I have to set up this curtain. And, dude, it's a process. You guys think this is the studio. I'm in my bathroom right now. That's the shower right there. It's the only way. It's the only way I get peace and quiet.
That's hilarious. You know what that means? So what you're telling me, that's actually not a backdrop. That's a black shower curtain. So you're killing two birds with one stone. You're using that as your shower curtain to save space.
With a black light, kind of scared. I'm kind of scared. But like I said, man, I'm excited, man. I'm excited to be back in the flow of things and getting back here with your brothers, man. And look, brothers, I said it again, bro.
Hey,
that's all right. We're gonna do a count.
I have I have to police the two of you and just tell you to be yourselves, and it's totally good. You say brother as much as you want, and you can be totally fine. It's good.
Dude, that is actually, you know what, bro is probably like one of my go-to
favorite words. Yeah,
one of my favorite words. I called everybody bro. What's up, bro? How you doing, bro?
Yeah. It just feels
not
good.
Because I want to call everybody a bro. It's because I forget everybody's name instantly. The minute I hear it, in 2 seconds, I'm done. I'm the worst when it comes to names, man. And it makes you feel bad. And when people are like, hey, Edgar, and you're like, oh my God, what the
Now, because that's a good question, because that's happened to me, and my wife told me straight up, you're better off just saying, listen, please don't take this personal. I meet a bunch of people all the time. Can you please remind me of your name? And I know when I hear it, it's going to drive me crazy that I didn't remember it. But I never do that. I just go, bro.
Imagine the person would have told you, you should have told me this 4 hours ago.
Well, because my wife's answer seems to make a lot of sense, but my manhood is like, damn it, I could do this with just bro.
Yeah. That's the way to. You got to use your girl. If you have a girl, fellas, that's the way to go to.
Oh no!
Hey, this is my girl.
That's the way to do it, man. Leave them alone for a second and be like, oh, listen, my husband forgot to tell me your name. It's perfect.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
that is brilliant. Yeah. That's the way. I'll be like, listen, if I ever introduce you to someone, I'll be like, hey, this is my girl, and you'll be like, hey, I'm so and so, and then what is your name? And then I'll be like, boom, you got it for both of us.
Yeah,
although,
go ahead.
Now, if somebody's significant other comes over and says, "Oh, my husband forgot to tell me your name," now I'll know. Oh, he didn't know my name.
You know which one I use as well.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. No. It's the face that counts. If you remember someone's face and how it made you feel.
No, yeah, that is what counts. Yeah, the most. I mean, as long as you remember. But dude, I get so frustrated. I'm that bad with names, man. I'm horrible, man. I'll give someone my phone and be, hey, let me get your contact again, and then wait for them to write their name on their phone. Now I have unnecessary contacts that I'm never gonna call.
And then they look at their phone and they're like, Edgar, I'm already in here.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Oh man, I've had that happen to me twice, man.
Damn,
and
Bob.
I actually put pictures of them, and I'm like, really? We took pictures? It was late that night.
That's actually kind of that's a walk. That's a what is it? Breaking the mold, Eric. I never would see you as the guy that would put pictures to contacts.
I put pictures. I put a picture on everybody's contact. If it's either a picture of you or like if you're a sports fanatic, it's a sports team. If I don't know you that well, it's the company you work for. Like I attach, so I like to look at a visual every time someone calls me. So
that's interesting, Dr. Dan.
It's that
I guess at the end of this episode, we're gonna have to get screenshots of our contacts in Eric's phone. And we're gonna put it at the end of the episode.
Well, listen,
I want to know. I want to know too. I want to know.
All right, you want? I could do that. Hold on one second.
No,
but go ahead and please,
right now.
Maybe towards the end of the show, we got a lot of
There you go. Yeah, man. So yeah, man. I'm glad we all here. Like I said, man. Thank you all for coming back. And let's get right into this, bro. Let's get into old news. We haven't done an old news in a very long time, so let's get into that. But of course, I can't introduce old news because we have the man right there that does it the best. So, Dr. Dan, take us in.
All right, guys. It's time for old news, maybe from yesterday.
That's right. Dr. Dan is the Michael Buffer of old news announcements.
I'm laughing because I have no idea
he's
who
the
Michael
only one.
Buffer
He's the only one that could. Let's get ready to tell old
that's
stories.
Who Michael Buffer is.
In old news, we're going to be talking about the infamous slap heard around the world. Of course, everybody's been talking about it for a long, long time. I don't think this is one of those topics that was global. It wasn't even just in the U.S. It was like worldwide. Everyone was talking about Will Smith standing up, slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars. Now, we're not going to get into the whole specifics of the whole Will Smith, Chris Rock situation, at least in my introduction. But I thought it was very interesting. A lot of the talk afterwards was about, was this an acceptable form of aggression from Will as a man, because he was defending his woman? You heard that a lot. You actually heard certain women celebrities saying that it made them feel good to watch him get up and do that. And then, and when you take that into context, and then another attack on Dave Chappelle, another comedian, and it makes you think about all of the aggressions that are taking place, not just in the Oscars, not just, with Dave Chappelle, but just everywhere, where just there's aggression taken out in stores between customer and the worker. Fast food places, people are getting food thrown at them, or getting smacked online for getting an order wrong, or before there was just road rage. You know what I mean? There was just now there's everywhere rage, it seems. And while I understand feeling angry, what worries me is the level of aggression that's being expressed by people in public, and how there seems to be almost a justification for people for their aggressions, because it's about fighting for their feelings or fighting for something they believe in. I mean, I know that was very long-winded. I apologize for that. But, if you think about it, what happened that night was, that represents, Will Smith represented to me society in general. If they hear something they don't like, or they see something they don't like, they could simply just get up and be aggressive about it and to get rid of the problem. And I just see more people being comfortable doing that. That was just more of a catalyst to bring up the conversation, in my opinion. But I opened the floor to both the topic on aggression, and we can still talk about the slap a little bit because it was funny, but, I didn't want that to be the whole crux of the conversation. But I opened the floor to my brothers.
All right, well, first thing that I'll say about it, I mean, when I saw it, it was incredibly disturbing to me. I mean, like, I don't know how everybody processed it, but I know a lot of people processed it similar to me, because I've talked to a lot of people about it since, as time has passed, it's still the same. One of the things that was most disturbing about it is I kind of felt like I could relate to everybody in the situation in a way. And in some ways, I hate to say that, like, people are like, oh, you could relate to Will Smith in that. Well, of course, we all have aggression. I don't condone what he did. And I have to say this, the person that I related to most in it was Chris Rock. Because he took the abuse, and he, not only did he have to deal with that, he had to hold it together for everybody at the same time. So I was really struck by that. There's so many different angles on it. But I think where it's most interesting is to recognize that's a microcosm of what we have everywhere. People don't talk about this that much, or at least not in this way, but every person carries aggression with us everywhere we go. And I think it's part of being a good person to recognize that and channel that aggression towards good things and not towards each other. Because it does a lot of damage when you let things out, especially if you let it out in a way that's either unfair or dangerous, you don't know what the effects are. There's ripple effects to aggression. And so I think what I was interested in discussing today is kind of the nature of aggression in society and how big of a role it plays. And I think it plays a much bigger role than people realize. There's little aggressions or big aggressions happening all the time, and then they have effects. Let's say you have road rage between one person and another, and then that other person goes and they go into a store and they're all upset and they take something out on someone else. And then that person goes home and takes something out on somebody at home. It can affect thousands of people. And so we've got to figure out a way to acknowledge that we have it, not condemn ourselves for it, but figure out a better way to deal with it.
It's my turn, guys.
What's coming?
I don't want to be
when
too
you said,
aggressive
Eric,
in my opinion.
when you said it was heard around the world, it actually, I could believe it. I was in Puerto Rico. I don't know, where you guys were when you found out about this, but I found out in Puerto Rico. I got a text from my sister. She's like, "Did you just see what Chris Rock did?" And I was like, "No, because I'm in Puerto Rico and I got no service." But
Chris Rock didn't do anything.
No, yeah, sorry, Will Smith. Well, that's good. I just want to see if you guys are paying attention.
Chris Rock allowed himself to be slapped. Did you see what Chris Rock did?
He didn't do nothing.
He just nothing. It was Will Smith who did it.
Honestly, when this topic came up as a comedian, I feel a different kind of way, and I'm pretty sure Eric feels the same way. Because we are on stage. Usually we'll talk. What's sad is that comedy was the only source of freedom of speech where you could go on stage and say whatever you want. But nowadays, everybody's so sensitive, everybody's so touchy, everybody's so offended by everything that you can't really say nothing. So I feel like what Will did was open that door to let all those people that are holding in that aggression to take it out on whoever they want and let them know that it's okay to address it with violence, which is not. I don't agree with what Will did. But then just listening to both of you guys, I started thinking of where do you think this came from? If you look at the video, he was laughing. He was laughing at the joke. And in a split second, he just flipped and went on stage because he got a certain look from his wife or whatever it was, and like she put his manhood to the test, which is crazy. But I'm wondering what else is happening in Will Smith's life, because this is just happened. This doesn't happen in a snap. For someone who's had such a great career to snap on the biggest stage and just slap another brother, which is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's got to be something else happening in Will Smith's life, and that's what I think about. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the problem at home? And that's the problem half the time. Half the time is that we men, we hold all these aggressions in because we don't want to talk about them. We don't want to let them out. And then you say the wrong thing, I'll snap. I'll snap in a heartbeat. And that's what happened to Will, which is sad because, not that I don't dislike him. He made a mistake. We all make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? He apologized for what he did. That's up to Chris to accept his apology, and if he did or not. But we make mistakes. But to be in that spotlight like that, it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? But it goes more to me. It goes. It has a lot to do with this show and what we try to do on this show. Because when we walk the walks, when we talk about our feelings, when we talk about all this deep shit, that's letting a lot of aggression out, and we don't even know it, right, Dr. Dan? I don't know, it's we gotta find a way to like you say, release this aggression in a positive way instead of being so damn negative, or violent.
There were so many things that went awry in so many different ways that night, and I have to say one of the worst ways that it went awry is the Academy's response to it. They were not the adults in the room. They just did nothing. And
the power of being a celebrity. Yeah,
and I think it didn't help anybody. It's interesting because what do you think would have happened if Will Smith had actually walked up on stage and whispered something to Chris Rock, something like, "You have crossed a line and you need to apologize," and then sat back down? What do you think Chris Rock's face would have shown there, or how It's interesting how it would have been different if it was channeled into talking instead of action. The minute it was action, we lost all ability to talk about it, and then the Academy never reined it in. They never brought it to a talking at all.
I honestly thought it was staged.
I did first too, because I was just like, there's no way.
I'm not going to lie. The way he walked up so calmly, he walked down like he was doing a fashion show, like he was doing a board, like a fashion walk. Like
he walked on that stage like someone that knew that knew he wasn't going to swing back. He had the walk of someone that just knew for a fact that he was going to get away with smacking somebody and getting back in his chair. So this was far more to me than a mistake. I mean, and I know Will's written in his own book about his, he's had stuff going on in his childhood and, missing certain aspects. But if you look at everybody's childhood, everybody has missing chapters and missing things. So it can't be the be-all, end-all reason that someone can do things. He wouldn't have walked up to somebody that wouldn't have been able to hit him back. And that's why I wonder, to me, that felt more like a bullying move because he looked like he just got bullied by his 5-foot-tall wife on national TV, who everybody saw him laughing at a semi-funny joke that, maybe some people may consider in poor taste, but nowhere near justified the outcome of that. You know what I mean? So, especially given the venue and the circumstances. So, my curiosity is, would he have been as aggressive if it was The Rock and not Chris Rock? Probably not. Would it be, you know what I mean? If it was like somebody that's really, really crazy, like Dennis Hopper that would bite an ear, like somebody nuts. No, we probably wouldn't have done it.
Mike Tyson.
Rock, I think Chris Rock was that's why Chris Rock reacted in shock. But he's so good as a comedian, he tried to make a joke out of it. That was his reflex. That was his defense mechanism. He immediately went to jokes. Because that's what comedians do when we don't feel comfortable or we get hurt. We go into jokes. And he made a joke out of it. And he said it would be the biggest Oscar moment of all time. And you know what? He might be right.
Oh, yeah.
I think he is going to be right.
Around the world. He is.
I mean, what are we going to, beyond like, and not that I'm an Oscar historian, but beyond Marlon Brando sending someone from a Native American to pick up his award in the 70s or a streaker running by in the 70s, I can't think of the Oscars of having this kind of crazy out there moment, So we should also discuss not only how the Academy handled it, how about the audience when he won the award, less than an hour later? He got a standing ovation.
Yeah. I mean, listen, this is the thing about it, and this is why I think it's good to be discussing this topic as it leads to our general discussion about aggression, because I felt like barely anybody knew how to handle it well. I got to give Chris Rock some credit, though. I think he handled it well. He really did. Like, you can say that he made a joke out of it, but what he really did is he took care of everybody. He made everybody as comfortable as you could possibly be with what just happened at his own expense.
Yeah. You know how hard it is to do that?
Yeah. And he
that's like bombing like horribly and then having to come back and win everything over like nothing ever happened. I mean, I give Chris Rock 100%.
I was proud to be a fellow comedian that day, the way he handled it. Because he literally just kind of went with it and then really made the best decision I thought he could make and didn't respond and try to be physically aggressive back, which is, that could have, who knows how much worse it could have been if that had happened. Can you imagine that? They have gone at it.
I think you brought up a good point when you said that, it was Chris. It was Chris. Like, you know what I'm saying? It would have been somebody else. We've known Chris Rock for years. Chris Rock has never been violent. He doesn't have an ounce of thug in him. He's as cool as of a guy as it gets. You know what I'm saying? So, maybe if Chris Rock would have been aggravated, it could have been a whole different turnout. If it would have been the same type of person.
How about Kevin Hart? Now, think about it. What if he was that much smaller than Will? Because Kevin Hart's like 5'5", right?
I think Kevin Hart would have
Chris
came
is
back.
5'11". What if he went up and said, isn't that like a regular person getting up and like smacking Gary Coleman? You know what I mean? No, I'm serious. Like, I mean, if you think about it, Kevin. Dude. So would that have been worse if he had gotten up and smacked Kevin Hart? He would have had to lean down, You know. I'm sorry. I don't know.
What do you do,
about
Dr.
that.
Dan? I had a question about this for you, though. Like, what do you do in a moment like that, right? Let's say, because you know what's crazy? I saw a video. Someone sent me a video of behind. Someone was recording with their phone, like behind Jada, behind his wife, as soon as Will slapped Chris. And Chris said, Will Smith just slapped the shit out of me. And they showed a video of her laughing. She was laughing. She was laughing after he went on stage and just humiliated another brother, another man. You know what I'm saying? Like really? You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy because we have these moments. You know, you have these moments where the aggression comes up. So my question to you is, when we as men, you know, are in this situation, what should we do when we get tested like this?
Well, listen, I think this points to one of the reasons I think this kind of show is important. And even what I was saying at the beginning in the introductions, I said it half as a joke, but I actually do mean it. Like, the more comfortable we are with ourselves, the less likely that kind of moment happens. You know, I actually think one of the reasons Will Smith responded the way he did, and this is totally, you know, I am speculating on it, but I think he knew he was about to have a big night. He knew he was likely to win. And sometimes people are not comfortable with taking a big step forward in power and feeling good about themselves. And here he was. It's almost like he ruined his own best moment. Mm-hmm. And I think that when you talk about kind of the tragedy of what he experienced and what it led to, that to me is the story here, or at least part of the story, that he was about to be recognized as, you know, and celebrated, and he ruined his own experience. And I felt sad for him about that. I did. But, you know, I also felt that I think as people watched that, it was like a drama that everybody could attach to a certain person in there. To me, I just went straight to Chris Rock because I was like, I'm the person who holds it together and makes other people feel comfortable, even if I'm getting smacked in the face. That's me all the way. Mm-hmm. And so I identified with him, but each person in this situation had very, I would say, almost understandably human responses going on inside of themselves. The question is, how did they carry it out? And so I with your question, how do we do this? I think the key is the more people who feel comfortable with who they actually are, the more likely they would be able to handle things well. For Chris Rock, one of the things I felt bad about him for is that I think he does know who he is more. And that's why he was able to hold himself together. But it sucks that he had to do it. It sucks that he had to hold it back. I'm putting it out there that I think one of the reasons he was successful doing what he did is from self-knowledge. And I think it's interesting because I'm a therapist, you two are comedians. I think that generally speaking, I don't know actually how self-aware therapists actually are. There's a lot of people that aren't so much, but we're supposed to be.
You've got training, damn it.
But comedians, I think there's a lot of self-awareness because that's where a lot of comedy comes from. Is just thinking about, well, what really is and who am I? And, you know, Chris Rock did what comedians do, which is talk about the reality. And the reality was Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me. That was the reality. And he made it. I just think it's interesting because there's a lot of people who have been attacked in society, abused in some way, had it not recognized or had to hold it together. And I think it was actually a kind of traumatic moment for people like that. I certainly found it that way. Like, I kept reliving it in my mind. I was like, why do I keep reliving this? And it's because we're all dealing with our stories of aggression, what happened to us. And for me, that's what it was. So, you know, to answer your question, I think the more we know about ourselves, the better. And then I think we've got to make sure that we not only know ourselves, but we're willing to show ourselves to other people. And that's what talking really is going ahead and showing ourselves to other people. And that's actually why I think Walking the Walk, again, recentered us in this show in a way that made me remember the excitement even more of season 1. It was like when we came back for season 2, we've talked about this. You know, we were talking about the same stuff. We were into it, But once we got into our personal experiences, it just changes the whole dynamic because we're now walking the walk. We're showing who we are. And of course, I'm set to walk the walk today. So we'll have to make sure to watch the time and figure out when we're going to do that. I'm ready whenever, actually. And in fact, I was thinking about it. What I have to say does relate to this. So if you guys want to transition into it, I'm happy to do so. Or we can just keep going with this.
I leave it up to the room. But I will say this about Edgar. Just one last question before we transition to
go ahead. I got one
walking
too.
the walk. As a comedian, do you think you would have been able to do what Chris Rock did that night as a comedian?
You know what's crazy? Because I was about to ask you the same thing.
I would like. Well, you answer first, and then I'll answer. Let's keep it short.
The way I grew up, my mom always taught me, you don't fix violence with violence. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've thought about it 1,000 times, Eric. It's crazy that you asked. I've thought about it 1,000 times. I'd be like, part of me will run right back and be like, hell no, it's a rumble, dude. You started this, and defend myself. And then the other part of me would be like, hell no, everybody, all eyes on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. I can't give you an answer because it's a real tough position to put yourself in.
Well, I mean,
I
think, well, listen, if Will Smith stood up, I think if it was someone I was intimidated by, I probably would act like Chris Rock because I'd be intimidated to respond because of who was doing it.
I would be real Latino and throw myself in the floor, my neck, my back.
Yeah, I think the difference is who is doing it. If it's just a total stranger in the Bronx, I'm gonna toss him off the stage. But if it's actually Will Smith, and maybe that's why Chris Rock handled it the way he did because he respected Will Smith and his position. Maybe he was intimidated to respond just as much as keeping his cool. And the unexpectedney of it. So, but I guess it's a tough question to answer.
No, but that is a good point though. If it's a room, a little room, or somewhere in the hood, or one of those little shows,
or any room, if it's a total stranger, like you saw what happened to Chappelle's guy. Chappelle's guy, his arm came out like an action figure got broken.
Yeah,
but but Will Smith got to sit down and get applauded later. So, I
could to talk real quick, Dr. Dan, before we get into your. Not I feel the same way. I could relate with Chris. I felt for Chris that night. I felt it. Looking at it, it felt like looking at a big bully. Like if I was there that night and I had to defend anyone, I would have defended Chris. As a man, I would have gone to Chris because it looked like a bully. It looked like it took me back to 3rd grade when I saw somebody getting bullied in the 3rd grade and hitting a little kid because he couldn't defend himself for whatever reason, So I could relate. I could definitely relate with Chris. I could also see where Will was coming from because you got to defend your family. You got to defend, the people you love in your life. But it's just crazy because putting myself in Will's shoes that night, if that were to happen and I start laughing and my wife looks at me and be like, you better do something. I'm like, nah, we're not doing nothing. I'm not doing shit. That's just me. Because I know that everyone is, I'm like, hell no. I will not get sex for the next month. I don't care what you do. Yeah. I mean, I'd rather take that
I might get
sacrifice.
Separated. We getting separated. That's
we'll get divorced, but I'm not going to
we'll get back together at some point.
Ruin my career. Because you know what's crazy? And this is probably going to happen to Will. No matter what he did, because he does have a remarkable career, man. I look up to Will Smith. He's done a lot. He's amazing at everything that he's done. And the sad part is that no one will ever remember none of that shit now because he'll always be remembered as the one that slapped Chris Rock.
What's funny, though? I mean, the thing I remember Will Smith most for before this is there was an episode of Fresh Prince. Do you guys remember this episode where his real dad in the show comes back?
Oh, yeah.
Ben Vereen played him.
Yeah, I remember. Yep.
And it was the most emotional TV scene I've ever seen.
Really?
Yes, and it was exactly about what I'm saying. He showed exactly who he was, and you could tell that it was coming from the real Will Smith in some ways. And he said, his dad, Ben Vereen, who's playing his dad, and he says that he can't go fishing with him or whatever, and he walks away. And Will Smith's acting kind of defensive, talking to his Uncle Phil, and he's like, oh, it doesn't matter, and he's just acting kind of tough. But then he breaks through to who he really is, and he says, and this was so sad, and it was very sad for me personally, because I didn't have a father when I started my growing up. It took me a long time to become, to feel in a relationship with the father who adopted me as my real dad. He said, if I am going to tear up, it's going to be from this line. He said, how come he doesn't want me? That is the essence of human pain right there.
I could see it in your face, Dr. Dan. You're getting me emotional. You make me cry. I'm like,
I mean,
Dr. Dan, look at Dr. Dan's face. Eric,
listen.
look at this.
Well, I mean, this is a definitely good intro to walking the walk, brother.
Yes,
you are definitely.
Well, you know what's funny is I was gonna walk the walk about something else in a way, but I think I realized what I was gonna walk the walk about is about this anyway. So I'll tell you what I was gonna walk the walk about, and then I'm gonna show you how it relates to this. So
Cool.
that moment, on Fresh Prince, which I treasure that moment, and I thank Will Smith for that moment. It was about somebody showing their real vulnerability, and the uncle in it sees him and values him and recognizes how important that is. Well, what I was going to talk about is all the times that I did not feel that happen, because there were so many times where I would try to show who I really was to other people, and they would dance away from it. They would just not be there for it. And we were joking about this in the meeting last night as we talked about what we were going to talk about. I described it as not being understood by people, but I would say actually it was, this was unconscious, I think, but people were deliberately not understanding me. They did not want to understand me. They didn't want to deal with the pain of it. And this also reminds me of another thing that I also was going to bring up in this Walking the Walk. So, did you guys see the movie The Martian? The Matt Damon movie where he gets stranded on Mars?
Yes.
Okay, so Edgar had the look of somebody who was like, you know what my name is,
is
right?
that the one
like,
where
I don't know.
Is that the one where they go to Mars?
Is that the one that he got really happy when the plant grew?
Exactly.
Yes,
So-
exactly. Edgar speak language of movie.
They do
That
go.
the one where the plant grow.
So, in The Martian, this guy gets left behind, and the people who left him behind obviously care about it, but not only do they care, the whole world ends up caring.
Mm-hmm.
And I posted something on Facebook about this, saying, like, listen, this is a really great movie, and I love that they saw the value in him and came back to get him. But I think in the emotional world, we leave people behind all the time, and we don't even think about it. And we don't even acknowledge that it happened. And if we want all this aggression to stop, we have to stop leaving people behind. And I have been left behind thousands of times, just over and over and over, because I see it. You know how they say, like, be the change in the world you want to see? Well, one of the changes I want to see in the world is for people to be really themselves and tell what's really going on. I can't tell you how many bad responses I've gotten from it. Many. I get lots of great responses from it too, but it's very, very hit or miss. And when I get left behind, and this is something you wouldn't know about me at all, but it's interesting in relation to this show. You know what I do when I get really left behind and burned in a bad way? I shut up. I'll never talk again. Not about that. Not to that person. I stop talking altogether. And I think that's really interesting in terms of what we're talking about. To me, it's all about, are we going to talk about what's real or not? So when I was thinking about talking about this with you guys, you wouldn't probably have realized it, but it was actually very high stakes. Because I was like, well, what if I talk about this experience of being misunderstood and they don't understand right in the moment? What is it going to do? And I'll tell you what it would have done. I would have shut down, probably in a way you wouldn't even know. I'd go right on talking. You'd think I wasn't shut down. You'd think I'm still talking, but I'm not. And I think those moments are, I can bring up many different kinds of examples of that in a walking the walk sort of way. But in some ways, I think what's more important is the overall structure of things, like how do people talk about things? After the events with Will Smith and Chris Rock, I think one of the main problems with what Will Smith did is he didn't apologize there. He apologized later. But if it were me, I would have gotten on stage and been like, guys, I'm sorry, I do not feel comfortable accepting this award right now. If you see fit to bestow it upon me, fine. But this is not a night where I feel like celebrating me. I feel that I screwed something up. I was very unfair to Chris Rock. Whatever he'd want to say. Mm-hmm. And, some people talked about that Jada Pinkett Smith had been through this stuff with alopecia. Do you guys know about this? She was having problems. And and then there were arguments that did Chris Rock know about that or not? I find it very hard to believe that he did know about it. He seems like a much kinder person than that to go after that. But obviously I can't know. But there's all this vulnerability that happens there, and instead of recognizing each other's vulnerability and connecting, we are constantly taking aggression and shoving people away. But that's one of the reasons I loved that moment on Fresh Prince, which I didn't know I was going to talk about today. But it was so emotional because he showed who he really was. And again, you could tell it wasn't just Will on the show. That was Will Smith. You could feel that he had something related to that in his life. And you could tell that the actor who was playing Uncle Phil, I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. Speaking of not remembering names, I remember his face.
I think it's Phil Avery.
On my phone. Yep, that's right. That's right. Phil Avery, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's interesting, too, because they both played their same first names almost to make it more personal. But that was a real exchange, you could tell. A real older man comforting a younger man who had that kind of pain. But it may be the best moment in TV history, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm going to have to Google this again.
Google it and watch it.
It's up there. It's right up there with Jesse Spano ODing on caffeine pills on Saved by the Bell. When
that's right. That's right.
And Zach had to say,
way up there.
I'm
with things,
so
with things
excited.
Like that.
I'm so excited. I'm so
Here we
scared.
Go. See, now this is an example. This is an example of a comedian making everyone comfortable. Eric did it again.
Yeah, go ahead.
But the thing is, like, when we talk about ourselves more genuinely, it actually does sometimes make people uncomfortable. And so I feel like I've had this weird role in I don't want to say I've had a role in society, but I have had a role in my circles where I often do bring up the thing that's really going on, at least for me. And I make myself vulnerable in that way. And it hurts like hell when people don't pick it up or even make fun of you about it or leave you behind or just leave it as not important. Those are some of the most painful moments of my entire life. When I put myself out there and people don't see how hard that was, they don't come up and say, like, are you okay? Here's a good example of it, actually. This is just, it seems like a tangential one, but when I was in grad school, we had case conferences, and they, you talk about cases in a disguised way, so you're not talking about any details. But I was trying to work on something and figure out what was happening for me. And this was, interestingly, this was a case where the person that I was meeting with was bullying me. They were attacking me. And I was trying to talk about this in the case conference, and you know what happened? All of that balled up aggression that I was bringing in from the session, from the other person, got taken out on me in the case conference by the case conference leader, who was a grown woman who was like 60 years old and a therapist who was supposed to have had a lot of therapy. So she had some problems. But the worst part of all, and I'll tell you what happened. I was saying that I was feeling vulnerable. I was putting it all out there because I thought that's what you want. If we're going to discuss things, let's discuss things for real. And I said, I felt just kind of like humiliated by her, and like I didn't know what I was doing, and I felt like I don't know what to do from here. And suddenly, out of nowhere, this woman says, and she's leading a class. I'm sitting around a table with a whole bunch of people, and she said, well, now you're just feeling sorry for yourself. That to me felt like the Chris Rock moment. I just got slapped in the face by that professor. And She knew I wasn't in a position to respond very well. It's the same thing that Will Smith did to Chris Rock. What was he supposed to do? So there was this weird thing that happened, but then the absolute worst part of all is after that happened, I pulled it together just like Chris Rock. I said, well, I thought you wanted to hear what I was really thinking, but okay. And I just moved on and started presenting the case again, made everybody feel comfortable. We took a break afterwards, and do you know how many people came up to me to ask me if I was okay? 0. Nobody. Like I was radioactive. I hadn't done anything. The people in that room, I've got to ask, what were they thinking? Because if we don't stand up for people when they're in that situation, we are leaving them behind like they are stranded on Mars. And the feeling is that I have in it is that people don't care about me in that moment. And you know what's sad? They actually don't. If they did, they wouldn't have stood by and done nothing. So I'm interested to hear what you guys think about that.
All right. I had to take notes and stuff, because I forget. But
I'm Dan.
You did say something interesting that caught my attention at first. You said that when you open up to someone and they don't listen, they act like they don't care, it shuts you down. Does it shut you down where you just don't talk to that person ever again, or just shuts you down in general where no one gets it?
Okay, so the way that I shut down, and this is where I could identify with Chris Rock, I'll never shut down in a way that's going to make anyone feel uncomfortable. They won't even know it happened. I shut down in here.
Okay.
And there are times where I'll do that, and then I'll even go the next step, which is, I think, to my credit. I'll actually go back and be like, listen, when that happened, I shut down. And I pulled away. And then sometimes that leads to really good exchanges. There are other times where it was so blatant and so bad that I shut down and I'm never going back. I'll still continue to be friendly. I'm never going to, I don't like all this aggression. I want to work towards things calming down and being nicer towards each other because I know the violence of aggression.
Yeah. No, because I see that. I mean, I honestly see it as a two-way street. I can see where you're coming from, and also we talked about this before in the episodes before, how not everyone is going to understand us. Not everyone is going to be that person for you when you need to vent out and talk. You know what I'm saying? So it's very hard. But what should we do when we are actually opening up to someone and we're not getting that feedback? Should we shut down? Is that the right thing to do? Because I feel like you're setting yourself.
I mean, look.
Should you try a little bit harder to make them understand? Or,
well, you know what's funny? If I could go back in time and do that case conference over again and have that moment, I would have actually stood up and said, I'm sorry, I need to leave the room. And I would have just left them all with the discomfort of what she just did, instead of falling on a grenade myself. So I'm not saying shutting down is the thing to do. I'm just saying it's what I have done. And I'm learning not to do that. Although I think there are times where it's totally deserved, where somebody just it was so obvious that they could have done something better, and they kind of have to realize it. However, I also don't do it so covertly anymore. I'm like, if you pissed me off, I'm going to let you know in some way. And a lot of times I'll just say it directly. But don't you guys think it's interesting? And I think this is a thing that Chris Rock could have done. I'm not judging him for anything that he did. That was a very, very tough situation. But can you imagine what it would have been like if he had gotten slapped and he stopped and said, well, I guess we're going to go to commercial because we got a lot to talk about. I'm not going to continue this show this way. Mm-hmm. Something like that. It would be a similar thing to what I would have done in this case conference if I had said, I have to leave. You guys can talk amongst yourselves. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine that conversation afterwards? I would have actually essentially forced them to talk about things. And instead, I took it all on myself.
It's crazy because if you look at that moment when they happened with the whole Will, after they went to a commercial break, they showed everybody consulting Will. I wonder how many people actually went up to Chris and said, "Are you okay?" You know what I'm saying?
I think Chris didn't stay too long after that. Actually, I have a question about Dan's case conference. The people in the room, the one that where no one came and asked you how you were afterwards. How many people were in the room, and how would you categorize your relationship with them before this? And were you close at all? Did you have conversations with these people that would lead you to believe that maybe one of them would take a moment to reach out and see how you're doing after watching you pretty much get reamed in public?
Yeah, I would say there were probably about 15 people in the room, and I wasn't close to all of them, but I definitely was close to a couple of them. I was genuinely shocked that the people who I was close to did not come up to talk to me, and they were the people that I was most upset with because, what you would expect. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you, I mean, I have been in situations like that where somebody got abused, and it was somebody I didn't even know that well, and I went up to them. I did it because I knew what it was like, so I would go up to them and say, "Listen, I know you don't know me very well, but I think what just happened to you was wrong. I just want you to know that." Do you know how much difference that could make? We talk sometimes about suicidal ideation here. There are people who have died from these things. They've gone home and felt nobody thought I was worth defending at all and shot themselves in the head. I guarantee you it has happened. Mm-hmm. It's not a small thing. We have got to talk to each other, and we especially have to talk to the people who are getting abused or bullied or feel not valued. It's a big, big problem.
I agree with you 100% on that one. Wow, this moment of silence is brought to you by.
Well, no, because it's interesting. What this does as brothers. I'm adding to the word count for Edgar, so he's not the only one. I think we could all do a better job recognizing the people around us that could use that acknowledgement or being recognized or an arm or just a reaching out. I think I've talked about in the past how with family, sometimes you take it for granted that they'll always be around and you don't reach out. And I think we could all do a much better communicating. That we all know somebody that could probably use a quick pick me up with a text and just to make them feel important and that they matter, and that somebody's hearing them. All right, Dr. Dan?
Absolutely. But I think it's especially important when you see somebody getting hurt. Yes. And I think you got to pay attention to that. I remember how Denzel Washington was kind of talking to Will Smith. And I'm not at all saying Will Smith shouldn't have had somebody there comforting him or talking to him. It was a very upsetting moment for him as well. But honestly, if I'm Denzel Washington and I talk to Will Smith, I'm going to make damn sure that I talk to Chris Rock also. Because otherwise, you're basically coming down on a side. Mm-hmm.
That's what I would have loved to have happened, man. That should have, and Denzel's powerful enough, he could have pulled that off. Y'all two need to come over here. You boys, you've been friends for years. It's not like this is a stranger, and could have squashed it. Could have been an example, a global example of compromise.
Yeah, and also it just would be a way to show we can care about both sides here. We can care about both people, and we can work to help people feel better. It's amazing how aggression just divides everybody, and then sometimes it just.
But that's why I feel like we need a circle. You brothers are my circle. You know what I'm saying? I know I could come to either you guys with anything, and vent out and so. I feel when you have a circle, when you in situations like what you went through where no one stood up, you just felt like boom, right by yourself. You instead of going home and letting that take over, call someone else. Find someone else to be there for you, to be that person. Because we've always said it. Not everyone is gonna be your person. Not everyone is gonna understand us. And I think it's up to us to be like, okay, should I keep trying? Should I keep trying to explain to this person how I'm really feeling, or should I just?
Yeah, but I think you're totally right. Not everybody's going to, and I don't expect everybody to, but I would expect one.
Yes,
at least,
especially
one.
If you knew them, and not even if you knew them. I mean, honestly, if anyone would have gone up that and at that very moment, it would have been a Will Smith in that group, you know. But definitely after would have been, it would definitely be like, yo, you all right? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you okay with that? You know, how you feeling? Yeah, of course. We gotta care for one another, no matter where we from, what color we. None of that shit matters, man. When you do see someone in her pain, lend a helping hand. You know, talk to them. You know, just listen to someone. Just listening to someone could help them. You don't necessarily got to give them money or, you know, physically do something for them. Just listen to someone, especially if they hurt and they show that, you know, or you witnessed it.
And listen, if you don't say something, one of the downsides is they could question their own reality. Did that actually even happen? Was I making a bigger deal out of that than I should have? Should I have been tougher, thicker skinned? I asked myself all kinds of questions because nobody validated my experience at all.
Now let me ask you this, Dr. Dan. If we have someone that comes up to us with one of their problems, right, and we don't understand, right, because that was the whole thing, you know, you made this whole walking the walk, and I don't know if people are going to understand me, which is crazy because you're a therapist, you know what I'm saying? So you would think that everyone would understand you.
But no. I think I would understand other people. That's why I'm a therapist. I don't expect everybody to understand me.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, you know, but like, let's say someone does come to you with something and you don't understand, you know, like, should we keep trying? Should we, what do you do in a situation? You know, like, do you actually say it? Because I'm pretty sure half the time people just don't want to entertain it because they don't want to get into further. You know, okay, I don't understand it. Okay, whatever. I walk away. You keep your problems, and I'm just gonna go about my life.
Well,
and that's
listen, I'm not saying that everybody's responsible for everybody's problems, or you always have to be there. I'm talking about when you clearly see somebody in pain, and it's very clear that they want to say something. And I would say it depends on how important it seems to the person. If that other person seems like they really need to be understood, then I would say this. Listen, I'm not getting it yet, but I will keep listening. Keep telling me what I'm missing. That's all you got to do. You know, and even if you can't do it then or don't want to do it then, you could be like, let's talk about it later. You know, tell me what you're thinking. We'll figure it out at some point.
And another thing that I always think about, sometimes people are reluctant to try to help because they want to take on the mantle of healing the situation or fixing the situation instead of just being there during the situation. Just be there. You know what I mean? You know, you don't have to fix it. You don't have to offer solutions. You're not expected to. And I think that pressure makes people reluctant because, like, oh, what am I going to say? You don't have to say anything. Sometimes maybe watch a rerun of an old show and just laugh with that person for a half an hour and let 5 words come out every 5 minutes. But just being there is the key, and you don't have to do anything else but that, right, Doc?
Absolutely. I think the main thing is make the person feel that they have some value, even in any small way. And when you say, "Are you okay?" You're not signing on to be their therapist or to take care of them. You're simply saying, "I care if you're okay."
Yeah.
It's not that hard to do. That's part of why I was so hurt by it, that particular situation. And like I said, I've experienced things like that many times. I was like, wow, not a single person cared enough.
Listen, Dan.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm so, as one of those people at the case conference room, I just want to take this time to apologize.
I know. Here is the big reveal. Eric was not only in the room,
I was also a student.
Oh.
Eric was the one that went sort of like laughed a little. No, but you know what, Doc? It's crazy because Eric just brought it up. Last week I did my walk in the walk, and I just talked to you guys. You guys listen to me. That's what this is about. This is about finding someone that's going to listen to you, and maybe you could listen to them in return, because we got to give to others what's given to us. If it makes us feel good, we definitely got to pass that forward and give it to someone else, right? So last week, I did my walk in the walk, and you guys didn't tell me nothing. I just talked. You guys listened to me. And I could clearly tell you it made me feel 100% better because I let that out. I let that, whatever, all those emotions, I let all those emotions out, and I felt great afterwards. you know. And maybe the first day or two you think about it, you're like, you know. But then after a while, you're like, wow, you move forward, and that's all we need to talk. That's all we need. I don't need advice. I don't need you to fix my life. I want you just to listen to me.
Yeah. Now,
you know?
This is interesting because it's in relation to your walking the walk and mine. Can you imagine what would have happened? This never would happen with us. But can you imagine what would have happened if you told us that stuff, and then I turned to Eric and was like, "How do you think the Yankees are going to do this year?"
Yo,
can you imagine? Because that's what I'm describing.
Yeah, like, exactly. Exactly.
So I'm putting it out there in that stark terms to show what people are doing to each other all the time. And that's how
you shut
imagine
someone
how bad
down.
it will feel?
That's how you shut someone down.
That's right.
You're here with us talking about it, which is great. You're talking about it. But someone else will take that and be like, fuck that, and hold that aggression in.
You were younger at this time, Dan, right?
Yeah, I mean I was 27.
So I think 27-year-old. I think if we won't age ourselves completely, but current Dan, would if you could like quantum leap it, I'm pretty sure that you would have done exactly what you had described earlier. You would have really just literally used it as a moment to ignite a conversation and a healthy debate as to why you just did this to me, instead of just swallowing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I guess what we're trying to do as a group of guys and a group of brothers is to try to help others kind of figure that out, so they don't have to swallow one in their particular corner of their lives. You don't have to swallow it and take it. You could own it, and there are people that are going to be out there to support you. I'll tell you this, Dan. I will always ask how you're doing from now on.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I don't want you guys to feel pressured to do it, because one nice thing is I now can take care of myself. I could even say, hey, I need to talk about this more, and I know who to go to for that. But there are times where circumstances are just going to come up and people are going to leave you hanging in a way they really shouldn't. Wouldn't have been that hard. And maybe it's exactly what Eric said, that, they felt too much pressure within themselves, and a lot of them were in their 20s at the time too. So I get it. But I just think we have to err on the side of make sure that you recognize the key moments. Sometimes somebody opens up to you and you might even be distracted at the time, but like, keep your head on a swivel for when people are showing their vulnerability, because if we're really going to help with this problem of aggression in society, look, some of the people who have actually, like, some school shootings and things like that have happened because of shit like this. They really have, because people felt ignored and not recognized at all. Mm-hmm. We have to stop that.
I feel like the moments like that, those are the moments that shape our life. That moment had to happen to you. That moment made you the man that you are right now, and I think we need to acknowledge those moments when they do happen. The moments that make us feel like shit are the moments that we should really think about the most, because that's how you don't want to repay it to someone. You don't want to do that to someone else. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry that it did happen to you, but it made you a better person. And sometimes lessons don't come in a handbook or a little apple or some shit. Sometimes, a beatdown could be a lesson, or anything could be a lesson, So we just got to see it for what it is.
As long as we survive it and it doesn't, damage our sense of goodness in the world to such a degree that we give up or don't try again.
Okay. So Dr. Dan.
And as long as we don't take caffeine pills like Jesse Spano.
That's right. The real tragedy.
I'm so excited.
This dude is out of control, man. So Dr. Dan,
thank you for sharing thank you for sharing your experience. Actually, all joking aside, thank you, brother, for sharing your experience and using it as a tool to spark a conversation.
If I would have been there, Dr. Dan, I want you to know that I would have gone up, not only gone up, but I would have cursed out that teacher. I would have said, "What?" I bet you would have.
I bet you actually would have. That's the
but he would have done it in He would have done it in Spanish, and the teacher wouldn't have understood shit.
In Spanish, and it sat back down like I said
the tone. Well, listen, I want to thank you guys for listening, but also I want to say, like, this is a topic that I want to continue discussing, because it's like what I was saying before. the expectation that I had that this wouldn't be understood. When I was talking about the specifics of it, I knew you'd understand. I wasn't that worried about it. It was more talking about the general concept of when people don't understand or when people don't show up at those moments and how big of a deal it is. The way it happened to unfold in this episode was very easy to talk about, and I knew you'd get it. But there are times where I don't. And Edgar, you asked the question, what do we do when we don't get it? Do you keep trying? I say yes. I mean, I'm not saying it's your job to turn their world around or anything, but you can at least let them know you want to understand even if you don't.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening, guys.
Always here for you, Dr. Dan.
That's what we're here for, man. That's what we're definitely here for. Now, my question is, Dr. Dan, to leave on a happy note, if us three are in a club and somebody hits Eric, are we fighting? All three of us?
You mean fighting fighting the people who attacked Eric? You mean?
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna. It sounded like you sounded like you were going to say we're going to fight each other.
No,
that's why I was like, what?
If somebody, no. I want to know
if
Dr. Dan has my back.
My answer is I'm going to do whatever Eric needs. I don't know what it is.
That's right.
I'm going to find out what he needs.
It might be a hug. You don't know.
Yeah. Or it might just be like, that
Eric,
was messed up. They have problems. You don't. You know?
Yeah. Nah, man, but
I knew you'd fight for me, Dr. Dan.
I just thought about that. 'Cause my mom used to say that. I grew up and my mom was like, yo, when you have un amigo es un peso en el bolsillo, which translates to a friend is just $1 in your pocket. The day you have that dollar, that friend is there, and the day you don't, he's not. My mom always taught me that when you hang out with someone, their problems become your problems. You know? And I asked you that question because I've been in situations where, and I always hang out by myself. I've never really hang out with a crew. I've always been a loner, you know, or maybe a Eric or, you know, but I never hang out with a group of people because of that reason, because their problems become my problems. So we're in a, you know, if I always told anyone I hang out with, dude, we hanging out, we're cool. And if anything happens, you got my back, I got your back. But if you start something, if anything happens because it's your fault, you best believe I am walking away. And I'll call you tomorrow and be like, how was it? And let you get mad at me. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't condone that. I mean, I got your back when something happens to us that's hurting us or, you know, messing up our moment. But for me to support someone who's bullying someone else or started something, yeah. I'm definitely not a fan of that, you know?
No, I think sometimes we have to play the opposite role with people we know when we think they're wrong. You know, I think ultimately we want to look out for what's fair and who's hurting and should they be hurting? Does it make sense? If it makes sense, then you got to help them.
And remember, like REM said, everybody hurts.
Everybody hurts sometimes.
Do this, like
yeah, guys.
I love it. You're like the king of quotes.
Well, the topics came up. Just in case, I have to start we have to start wrapping I have to get going in a little bit.
So definitely, man. All right, Eric. The good way to just shut everything down. Bye.
I really fucked that up.
You hurt my feelings. My feelings.
At least he didn't do it right after my walking the walk.
No. Imagine if I did it during. Hey, listen, Dan. Before you finish your story, can we wrap this up?
Can you speed this shit up, Dr. Dan? We need to get to the point. What happened?
I'm good. I'm giving him the rap sign. I'm like, yeah, listen, yeah.
He's got the wrap it up music that.
Play him off.
No, but listen, at the end of the day, it's about listening to each other. It's about being there for each other. It's about supporting each other. And that's what the message about this whole podcast is, man. Just find someone, talk to someone, man. If they don't get you, don't get mad at them. You know, try to explain yourself a little bit better or just not find someone else and just talk, man. Talk, because that's the best thing we could do to help with this aggression, to help with all this bullshit that's happening in the world right now, you know, especially with men, because I feel like we hold it more than anyone else. So let's just be better men and just be there for each other. And if you see another brother that's hurting, I don't give a shit where he's from, though. At the end of the day, we're all brothers. We're all brothers, man. If you see someone that's hurting and needs you, man, be that better person, man, and lend out a helping hand and, you know, just be there.
Well said, Edgar. Well said.
That's it. That was my drop the mic, freaking Jerry final thought moment right there.
Let's take care of yourselves and each other.
You just got to shut it down right here after that.
Take care. And that's it, man. So thank you for listening, man. If you enjoy the podcast, please share it with someone. Please share it with someone, man. Everyone needs to see this. Every guy out there, ladies, I know we get a lot of female watch that listen and watch the podcast. If you feel like your man could actually learn something from this, please share it with your man and let's get the word out, man, because mental health is definitely serious and we need to definitely be there for each other. So, Dr. Dan?
I will take us out. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and we'll get back to you personally.
Nice.
Brothers in Arms.
Yes, sir.
Redefining machismo since last year.
I was thinking of something to say, but I don't have nothing. That's it. Podcast over.
That's funny.
This is Eric's picture when he had a moment.